Generative AI for text is now popping up all over the place, from Chat-GPT to Bing to Bard to Quora and even Duolingo. The three most well-known being those first Chat-GPT4, Bing Chat and Google Bard, although it's really two, as Bing Chat is powered by Chat-GPT4. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to compare Bing Chat and Google Bard, starting with what is, in my opinion, the biggest flaw of these AIs, their factual accuracy. Both are generally accurate, but there are occasional errors, the severity of which depending on what you're asking about. For example, asking both what Arsenal's current squad is, both are usually wrong, despite the fact that they could just look up the squad on Arsenal's website. You can see here that Google adds extra players who aren't part of the men's first team squad, whereas Bing doesn't even list the entire thing without me asking specifically. Even after I ask for it to list the entire squad, it is still missing out players. I will say, however, that Bard laid out its answer much more nicely than Bing Chat. Looking at tech in general, it's a lot more accurate. If I ask for the specs of the S23 Ultra, both provide accurate results this time. However, Bing Chat still doesn't list all, or at least most, of the information, and is not laid out as well as it is in Bard. Both also produce correct results when I ask if I can use a microSD card. Now, for something a little less objective, I'll try and get it to recommend a phone to me, starting with somebody who wants a budget phone. Bard begins by telling me the things I should consider, including price, and gives some recommendations right off the bat, whereas Bing Chat simply asks me what things I would like or which one I already have in mind. After telling both that I want a phone under £400 with a good camera, they both have a few recommendations, with the Pixel 6a being recommended by both Google Bard and Bing Chat. However, Bing Chat does recommend the iPhone SE 2022, which starts from £449 new, £49 above what I said was my maximum price. You probably could buy a refurbished model for less, but it did not specify that, so I would say it is an error or at least something misleading. Doing it again with an unlimited budget, Bard again gives me recommendations right off the bat. When I tell them both I have an unlimited budget, they give decent recommendations, although I am unsure what the OnePlus 10 Pro is doing there, as despite the fact that it is good, there are still better cameras you can buy, and I clearly don't have a price cap. I then ask for something unique and get very differing results. Bard gives me some phones available now, and even last year's Flip model, although I would not recommend you buy any of them except the Flip 3 for various reasons. Bing Chat recommends future phones, including the iPhone 15, which while it almost certainly will be a good phone, will definitely not be unique in any sense of the word. Its other two recommendations would probably be good shouts for quality phones which are unique, so its recommendations aren't altogether bad. Last of all, I'll be asking for a recipe for making pancakes, crepes, to see if they both give good instructions. I won't be trying them out now, but I may do so in future, so make sure to subscribe and to like the video to tell me that's something that you want. Looking at both, I definitely think that Bard's is easier to read. Separating the instructions into many smaller steps makes that much better. I also like that it gives a few general tips at the bottom, and I think that the tips themselves are great. It does default to imperial measurements, but it is in US English in the early access phase, so that should be fixed when it's released. And it was easy to get it to give me a version of the recipe in metric. Both are good recipes, and I'm sure will work fine, though I am perhaps a tiny bit more confident in Bing's, as it states and links where the recipe is from. I've checked and it is exactly the same as the classic crepes recipe on BBC Good Foods. However, I expect that Bard will have a similar feature once it is fully released, so I wouldn't count the lack of sources against it quite yet. Overall, both of the AI language models were fairly factually accurate in all of the tests I ran, barring the first one, and it would be difficult to put one above the other looking at the accuracy. The only big differentiating factor is the fact that Bing cites sources, but as I said, that will probably be done by Bard in the future too. Bard seems to like to give you lots of information with every prompt, such as when I was looking at phones, whereas Bing seems to wait for you to specifically tell it what you want it to generate. Bard seems to be much better laid out than Bing, with the latter more prone to paragraphs of text which may be more difficult to read, although as I just mentioned, it usually produces shorter outputs anyway. Looking at features, Bing Chat is the clear winner here. In Edge, it can appear right in your sidebar, which I find is the best way to use it. And in that sidebar, there is a compose section, which allows you to give it a longer prompt and specify some parameters in order to generate an email, blog post, ideas, or just a plain paragraph. It's not as if Bard would be unable to generate any of those, but the specific feature does make it easier, which I like and have actually used for a few emails myself. Overall, I would definitely say that the best of the two is Bing Chat. Its many useful features, along with the fact that it has references, making it easier to check if it's wrong compared to Google Bard, means that currently it's on top. However, I can definitely see Google in future making Bard much more useful, especially with Google Assistant right now. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and definitely check out one of my other videos on the channel next. Thanks, and see you next time.